2 hours, guys. 2 hours. 2 hours. But hey guys, it's your girl Victoria back to you with another review of VH1's Couples Retreat Season 2, Episode 7, From Darkness to Light. And it's not gonna end here because right after this we gotta do a review for Episode 8 because they put both of them back to back because they didn't want the 8th episode to be on 4th of July because they feel like nobody was going to watch, even though we can record it and just watch it maybe the day after 4th of July. But you know that? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, we're just going to do what we got to do. So we start off with Daniel. He does a video diary. Don't know what he done said. Okay, move on to Rada. She does a video diary. We don't know what she said. Claudia does a video diary after that. I didn't write down what none of them had to say because at this point I'm like, this is 2 hours. I gotta just write down the important stuff that done happened. So they did the video diaries. That said, we're gonna move on. We have Audra, Styles, P, Ronnie, and Shamari. They meet up by the pool to talk about the night before. How it's very emotional, and Shamari and Ronnie asks Audra and Styles P about their daughter and how they're feeling and coping with that. So they express, their feelings on that. Not much to take from that scene. So we're going to move on to AJ. She sits with Daniel as for a one-on-one. Asks him, I can't talk. She asks Daniel about his childhood. He explains that, he never knew his father. He has a younger sister and a younger brother. And unfortunately, his mother did contract HIV. So because of the ignorance of what people had about HIV and how it was so contagious that he felt like he couldn't even hug his mother and, be affectionate with her physically to show her love. So he feels like that bled into his relationships now, present day as an adult, where he's can't really have that emotion and show that affection towards females. He didn't say that word for word. I'm just paraphrasing. But my question to him is, so how was you with the mother of your child? Was that like a one night stand? You be having these threesomes, so you're able to show affection sexually, but not in a relationship wise. And which further, the end of this season, next, which will be next review, that really solidified to me that y'all relationship wasn't real to begin with, because I'm still trying to figure out how y'all even became a couple, and if Jess loves all this physical attention and affection, and that's one of her love languages, how did she put in her brain, oh yeah, let me get in a relationship with Daniel? How'd that come about? And I don't think they ever elaborated on that, so that further leads me to believe this was all a facade to begin with. But, whatever. AJ feels him, understands where he's coming from, and lets him know that he needs to learn to love himself first and be more emotionally available. So he agrees to that, and, he says that this one-on-one with her was very opening and very needed. Hopefully it helps you in your next relationship, okay? Because you and Jess ain't even real. So hopefully you came on the show, got your little coin, and this will be better able to help you for actually finding a real relationship. So we're going to move on to Nick and Kiana. They get back to the resort. They left with a white car and came back. They left with a black car, a black Tesla. When I was saying they rode off into the sunset, they coming back with a white car. I don't know if it was a Tesla. I didn't zoom in too much to see what it was because, I was just still thinking in my head, oh my gosh, this is 2 hours I got to get through. But get back with a white vehicle, obviously they have multiple vehicles, but, sometimes I'm just like, okay, show off the other cars, but that's fine, whatever. Kiana changed her hair. She got a new wig on and all that stuff. And they're sitting on their couches in their little living room in their place, in their suite. And they're talking, having a serious conversation about moving forward and what it's going to take for them to get back to being in a better place and whatnot. Nick, he munching on them watermelon slices. Someone on Twitter said those watermelon slices don't even look like it's sweet. Probably not. Okay, probably not. But he was munching on it like he haven't ate in 3 days. They trying to have Kiana's trying to have a serious conversation. Nick just looking like he's just there just to be there. You know, Nick still sounds stuffed up, like he recovering from a cold, and he makes mention that he wants to find a woman like his dad found a woman, to the point where he's on his deathbed, and he got a woman right there beside him. Keanu's looking at him like, so you don't see me as the woman for that? And he kind of, talking around it and whatnot. And I'm just like, okay, same situation, different day at this point, but y'all too. So we're going to move on from that, because there was no resolution that came from that, of course not. So we move on to the question of the week. I think this was like the last question of the season, because I don't think there was a question for the next episode. But the question of the week was, do you feel like you hold on to things emotionally too long, or are you quick to let them go? Didn't write down what any of the couples done said, because at this point, I'm just like, okay, y'all gonna say however y'all want to say, just to be cute in front of the camera. I mean, some people were being real about it. Styles P was high as fuck when he said his answer. He didn't even say his answer. I think he said what he thinks Adjoa would say, but she's like, no, I'm asking you, what do you say? We didn't even get his answer, because he's like, oh, that's what you... Okay, so, whatever, it is what it is. So we move on to the men. They're working out at the gym, and Nick surprises them. He says hi to everyone, and then shortly after, that's when AJ comes to crash the workout session. But while she talks to them, she's also working out, and I'm just like, AJ, listen, you doing the damn thing, because if it was me, I will come in there to sit down and discuss, not to work out and talk. She was talking like she wasn't even working out, like she was just standing there. Now I would be out of breath. I'm trying to do some curl ups, you know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna be like, just let me give me 10 seconds after my curl ups to regain myself, to say what I need to say in a decent manner. But she did what she had to do. She was talking to them. I think she went through around the room to each one of them. Michael, he got this bright ass, shiny ass red raincoat on while he's working out, trying to look like a pimp. Okay, Michael, we know you're already a pimp. You don't have to wear one. We know that, just from your personality, just from who you are. But, he wanted to show us something, so I guess he did what he had to do. And she starts off with Ronnie, because he's still having problems with his wife and her drinking. So I don't remember what AJ said. I didn't write it down. But I think AJ just said something to the effect of, that's something they got to work through, and they're gonna follow up on that later on, I guess. So then we get to her talking to Nick, and she asks Nick, do you notice that she don't even look at you when she's talking? So they did the flashbacks of all the times that she was saying something, or when they were having sessions, and she literally was not looking at Nick. So I think that's more of a Kiana thing, not a Nick thing. But I guess she's just trying to make Nick more aware of, like, look at your girl. Like, pay attention to your girl, because the body language is a strong thing. Like, actions speak louder than words. So body language can definitely tell you a lot that a person may not say verbally, but their body language definitely shows it. So he didn't realize that, but, hopefully he pays attention to his wife more. Oh, not his wife, fiance. Pays attention to his fiance more. Then she moves on to Michael. I think she said something, but then Michael wants to let us know in the confessional that he's never been 100% honest in any of his relationships. So I'm like, what are you keeping from Rada then? Clearly you keeping something. If you were to make that, you making that statement in the confessional, that means you got something to say. So I don't know what that was, but maybe you should talk to Rada about that. Because, no matter what, Rada gonna stick beside you. Clearly, we see. But we move on to her talking to Styles P. He says he always gets frustrated, and how does he leave it at the door? So AJ lets him know to talk through it with Adjoa, like not talk at her, but talk with her, and just to kind of for him to explain his frustrations to Adjoa. I was gonna say Rada, for him to explain his frustrations with Adjoa, so they can talk through it to see how they can resolve that anger and frustration that he's going through. So that's what she done did to help everybody out. So after that little gym session, she has a one-on-one with Ronnie, and Ronnie explains that his trust is still broken, and he's still healing from that brokenness from when Shamari done stepped out on him with the woman, moved out of the house, all that, that she done did in the past. So AJ asks him, is his caution on love a betrayal to Shamari? So I think that was a good question. Everybody did too, that I've seen on Twitter. I thought that was a very interesting question. Would I have thought about that? No, I really wouldn't. But that is something to think about in regards to how Shamari may be feeling like everything's fine, where to Ronnie is not fine. So he's just still scared of Shamar stepping out on him. He doesn't necessarily directly answer the question, I don't believe. Not that I remember. This was 2 hours, so, I don't remember anything. Everything, second to second that happened. I'm sorry. I apologize in advance. I'm not that type of gal right now, especially, it's 11 o'clock. But, so he's still scared of Shamar stepping out on him, and he admits that he has to work on that. And I'm just like, in my notes I put, we're just now getting to that. We're just now getting to the point of you realizing the things you need to work on. This is like the last 2 hours of this show. This is like the last 2 days of this show. And we're just now getting breakthroughs of what you need to work on. Shouldn't we have gotten through this breakthrough of what you need to work on in the beginning? What was the last 6 episodes for? The 6-7 days for? Okay, so anywho, whatever. We gonna move on to everyone comes together for a dance party. And, the guys split up and the girls split up to talk. Rada's upset because Michael told her he might not want to get married. What else is no Rada? Whatever. Anyway, the girls talk amongst themselves. I didn't really put anything that the other girls were saying, but we move on to the guys with KJ, and he still doesn't, want to rush into getting married because of his past marriage. He was married for 12 years, so I guess he doesn't want to rush into things anymore. But at this point, KJ, he been with the girl for like 3 years, so like, do you see marriage at any point in your future with Claudia? Because if you don't, let her know, so she don't have to keep talking about, he don't want to marry me. Yeah, let's at least figure out, do you even want to get married to her eventually? I don't think he's ever directly answered that, because you seen what happened in the beginning of the season. Do I want to marry Claudia? Do I want to marry Claudia? And Michael asked him, okay, so if Claudia were to say we don't have to get married, how would you feel about that? And he's like, that's fine with me. So, of course, the guys are laughing, whatever. And then you see Claudia, she's feeling some type of way, makes a comment in the confessional about, it's not cool that you're going to kiki with the boys about that, make jokes about it, when clearly that's something that she wants at the end of the day. So, KJ, I think that's how he really feels. But at the same time, if you really deep down don't think you want to get married again, you just need to let her know that. So then that way she'll decide whether she wants to stay with you or not. We move on to Daniel doing a video diary. We don't know what he said. We don't care what he said. We're going to move on to Kiana and Nick. They do a video diary. Didn't write down what they said. Then we get to AJ. She does the last exercise for the retreat called Darkness That Comes to the Light. So this is where everyone admits their faults and flaws in the relationship or makes any confessions. And we start off with Daniel and Jess. So he apologizes to her and admits that he's afraid to fall in love because of his childhood trauma. He didn't say that word for word. I'm just paraphrasing. But of course, Jess, it looks like she's eating it up. She switches real quick from just being happy and then upset the next day. But, she's relieved and accepts his apology and like, oh, he's afraid to fall in love. But then she switches up like later on talking about, she's not going to wait around for him to find himself and love himself and whatnot. So I was just confused of this facade of a relationship. That's how you know it was a facade, because she knew, sorry, there's something on my camera, because she knew that, okay, this retreat is coming to an end, so this facade of a relationship needs to come to an end too, which we'll get into the next review. But we move on then to Michael and Rada. He explains his childhood trauma, which he did explain last season, of the fact that, his mother took him and his siblings away from his father, and the mother done dropped off the kids at an orphanage. So he's always been upset with his mom for, abandoning and neglecting him. So because of that childhood trauma, that's why he's always vowed to himself internally, maybe not outwardly or directly, but he's always in his heart said, I'm not going to let any woman in. I'm not going to, be faithful to any woman or love any woman because my own mother betrayed me. So I'm not going to let no other woman in to betray me like that. He didn't say that word for word. I'm just paraphrasing. So what made me laugh? Because after he expressed all this in his childhood trauma, here go AJ asking Rada, so do you understand that he's never going to change? Rada looking like, yes, I do. I understand now. So you didn't understand the first season when you had the same issue, the same situation when you were pregnant. Okay, let's not forget she was pregnant by this guy the first season. Unfortunately, she lost the baby, but you were pregnant and he still didn't want to commit to you. He proposed to you on Breakfast Club and he still didn't want to commit to you. So now you realize that he not gonna change? Sure. That's exactly what I put my nose to. Sure, okay. Anyway, Ronnie, him and Shamar go next. He admits to Shamari that he's cautious with his love and trust because of Shamari's alcohol abuse and how flirty she gets with women in their past. He didn't say that word for word, I'm just paraphrasing. But you know how they do. They go to commercial for dramatic effect, come back from commercial for dramatic effect, and Shamari, explains to Ronnie she doesn't think about nobody else. She doesn't want him to think about the past and apologizes for him feeling that way and says she's not interested in any women, no women, and she's only focused on her husband and their marriage and being with him. So Ronnie accepts her apology, and Shamari lets us know in the confessional, so it wasn't her drinking that he had an issue with, it was her past mistakes. And I'm just like, oh, no, it's probably the drinking too, Shamari, because that's what brings out your flirtatiousness with females. So I don't think it's just it's the drinking too. Yeah, it's the drinking too. You could say you don't think it's the drinking too, Shamari. That's a concern. That's a concern. But okay, if you wanna, okay, let's go what you said. Let's go with that. Yes. We move on then to Claudia and Kj. No, Audra and Styles P first. And they both agreed to work on being a better team and not as business partners, but married, as a married couple. They didn't say that word for word. I'm just paraphrasing from what I took from their little 2-second chat because there wasn't much to go over with Audra and Styles P. So then after that goes Claudia and Kj. So Claudia feels like she may never be enough for KJ. KJ feels that she's the girl for him, but he has caveats. Claudia was like, listen, if you're looking for a perfect girl, I'm not the girl for you. No, if he's looking for the perfect girl, Claudia, no girl's the girl for him because at the end of the day, nobody's perfect, just like he's not perfect himself. So to feel like he needs Claudia to be perfect before he can propose and get married, that just to me says you really just don't want to be married. I don't know why he can't just say, I just don't want to be married. And if you're not willing to deal with that, then we just can't be together because I guess he wants to be with her. But you're stringing her along, bro. So then we have AJ asking Claudia, do you feel like you're enough? Claudia doesn't answer. She just does these little, she stirs in her seat a little bit and just looking down to the ground. And AJ was like, that's all that's the answer right there. So I think she gets a little emotional and teary-eyed, and KJ feels that she's the girl for him and that she's enough and that he loves her. And Claudia says she believes him, but at the same time, Nick is distraught. Not necessarily literally, but he explains that, he does feel bad that she did cry in front of him and that he hates to see her cry. So obviously you have love for the girl. You love the girl. You have feelings for her. From what I feel like I've taken from that scene. But I don't understand why you don't want to admit, like, either you're just not ready to get married right now, or you just don't want to get married right now. Because I feel like you just don't want to get married. You don't mind being with a girl, but you just don't want to be committed because of whatever may have happened in your 12-year marriage before. But why can't we discuss that? Because Claudia sure doesn't seem to know if you want to be married or not. So why can't we have this discussion? Communication, folks. I've been saying this since season 1, even though this is only season 2. But I've been saying this since season 1. Communication. I don't know why it's so hard for some people to talk. But anywho, we move on to Nick and Kiana. And Nick admits that the reason why Kiana is the way she is because she has a lot of insecurities. He's the reason. Oh, sorry. I read my notes completely wrong. I'm sorry. He says he's the reason why Kiana has a lot of insecurities. And AJ was like, do you think she's enough? He says yes, but AJ was like, why don't you ask her if she thinks she's enough? So Nick asks her if she thinks she's enough. Kiana cries. Goes to commercial for dramatic effect. Comes back from commercial for dramatic effect. And Kiana says she puts on a strong face, but she's really fragile with all the things that he done did to her and people on social media and his ex-relationship with who, Iggy Azalea. It's kind of tough for her. So Nick apologizes to Kiana for all the mess he done did. AJ asks, does she forgive him? She says no. She was being real. She said no. And she explains the reason why she said no is because he always does this. He always apologizes, but nothing ever changes. And she still gets triggered. And AJ said that's understandable, but that's something you need to work through in order to get to the other side. AJ doesn't say that word for word. She just paraphrases. But that's literally where the episode ends. And then that's when we go into, like, not even 2 seconds later, go into episode 8, which I'm about to review, like, in two minutes from now. But if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe. Please comment on what you think about all these couples. Obviously, we still got one more episode to go to, but we about to get into it. So after this video, go to the next one because that's where we're going to get the season finale. So see you in the next one, guys. Bye.